Okay, so Skyrim's 10th anniversary is coming up, and I thought what better time than any to paint up some perfectly timed miniatures than painting up some miniatures from the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms miniature game, which of course is based on Skyrim and having its 10th anniversary. As I'm going to open these up and see what miniature I want to paint, I can't believe it's already been 10 years since I played Skyrim for the first time, and just the amount of memories coming back, and even the way that it led to me painting up miniatures in itself. So this video is going to be a little bit different and talking about more of a story time rather than showing you step by step in a paint along like I usually do. So as I'm going through picking out what miniature I want to paint up, I couldn't be helped but reminisce of that very first time when you come into Skyrim. Waking up on that cart, such an awesome intro and great to reminisce about what's happened. So like I said, that in this retrospective sort of thing I'm going on here with my different style of video, I couldn't help but think of the very first time that I woke up here on this wagon and how it led to painting up miniatures like I do now. So this was the very first time I had seriously experienced an Elder Scrolls game. I had heard about them before from my friends, but never actually properly played one. I played Oblivion for maybe a couple of days before Skyrim first came out. My friend lent it to me just before we had brought it, so I could get a bit feel of how I played the game, so they'd hyped them up so much, and honestly I wasn't disappointed in the way it led up to my fascination with fantasy. I'd always been super fascinated by fantasy and loved it much, but I never really dived into game lore and adventuring like Skyrim had done for the first time. I always wanted to, and I've never found a way to do it, and Skyrim was the way that I found to do this in such an awesome and enjoyable and fun way. And like I said, it led up to basically painting up miniatures, because what this did is it opened up the door for me in seeking out other fantasy style properties and sort of style and like movies and other franchises, which eventually led me to Dungeons and Dragons, which completely changed the way that I loved doing things and the way that I consumed everything basically. And then that got me into playing that. We had such a good time. Me and my friends started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I wanted to help enhance the experience since I was the dungeon master at the time, and I still am, I guess, and I wanted to enhance that experience a little bit more, so I brought a couple of pre-painted miniatures, and from there it just became a slippery slope of buying more miniatures. And then one day I decided I can do a little bit better paint job than what's on these pre-painted miniatures, as it was shown with the very first miniature that made me decide that, which was one that had its eyes offset, and the paint job wasn't even painted over the correct places, which annoyed me. So I decided I'm going to learn how to do this, which eventually led to setting this out on the whole journey we are now. So that's one of the things that come to mind as the Skyrim 10th anniversary comes up really soon upon us, or even maybe out by this time, and it's just so, I can't believe it and exciting that it's already 10 years old, I guess, but they really need to bring out Elder Scrolls 6. But anyway, with that, we want to carry on with our video, and like I said, I'm coming up with all these emotions as I'm picking out my miniature that I want to paint. I want something to be sort of memorable and exciting when I go to pick one out. So it's an important decision here as I'm trying to embrace this whole story time way of telling what I want to do here. So while I was sorting through these miniatures, I found the perfect one I want to paint up this video. It gives a little bit of symbolism to painting up my first Elder Scrolls miniature, as well as making this video tie in a little bit better with my story time theming, and that is going to be...
I assign you Lydia as a personal housecarl, and this weapon from my armory to serve as your badge of office.
So once we have Lydia picked out, we know what we're going to be doing, and sort of idea I was going for picking up our first Elder Scrolls miniature, so I can talk a little bit more about how I got into miniature painting and how I enjoy Elder Scrolls while I'm painting her up and cleaning her up like I am at the moment. So it's just coming in here, clipping her out, and then cleaning her up so she's ready for painting. And as I'm doing this, of course, I'm thinking of, I can't believe it's been 10 years. I feel super old now as it's coming out, and just all the fun with miniature painting that is now. And it's sort of come around in a full circle where I started out playing Skyrim and enjoying that so much, which led me to other types of fantasy stuff, which led me eventually to Dungeons and Dragons, which led me to buying miniatures, to painting miniatures, and then having this whole YouTube channel. So it's real exciting how it's come back around in a full circle, and I can tell you a little bit about the story. And as I do that, of course, it's time for that amazing opening scene when you see the dragon for the first time.
What in oblivion is that?
Sentry, what do you see?
It's in the ground!
Dragon!
Such an iconic moment when you see a dragon for the first time in Skyrim, even though I've seen that entrance 100 times at least, and I've gotten a little bit bored of it. It's so good to reminisce and go back to and do as we're painting up Lydia here. So I'm going to be starting off with the skin tones like I usually do here. I like to start with the smallest part of the miniature and then work my way out, since it's a lot of detailed areas, and I like to try and get that out of the way first so I don't have to worry too much about messing up, because I'm doing it so much in the beginning stages of painting up the miniatures. And it's so good to be doing a paint job for Lydia here. Now, it's probably not going to be the best paint job in the world, but as long as I can paint her up close enough to look as close as I can get her to the actual Lydia from Skyrim, I'll be happy with that. So as I'm doing this, of course, I'm remembering the first time when you get through that tutorial section and you're opened up to the world of Skyrim and you're freely able to explore.
Wait!
There he goes. Looks like he's gone for good this time. No way to know if anyone else made it out alive, but this place is going to be swarming with Imperials soon enough. We better clear out of here. My sister, Gerda, runs the mill in Riverwood, just up the road.
And so, of course, as I first came out to Skyrim, I followed Mr. Brayloff here right down to Riverwood. And this was the first time that I really took notice in the game where NPCs and stuff in games could actually have lives outside of you playing them. I guess it's a little bit sort of old now to think that, and the AI is a little bit not so intelligent as you first think, but it was the first experience to having this sort of open world feeling, of feeling like a game is really, really alive and can function without you in there. And it's just enhanced by sort of actions that happen in the game, whether you can follow them or not, like I did with Rayloff here, that leads to conversations like this that I never would have known or seen in games before. And this was like the first time that I sort of experienced it, where different things could happen at different times, and you may never see everything in the game, and it's just so fun to realize that.
Gerda!
Brother, Mara's mercy, it's good to see you. But is it safe for you to be here?
Gerda!
We heard that Ulfric had been captured.
Gerda, I'm fine. At least now I am.
Are you hurt? What's happened? And who is this? One of your comrades?
Not a comrade yet, but a friend. I owe him my life, in fact. Is there somewhere we can talk? There's...
And of course, while I'm painting Lydia up here and experiencing, re-experiencing, I guess, my time with Skyrim while I'm painting her up, I'm also thinking, of course, about how loyal she is as a follower. She likes to help you out. She has an awesome sort of like personality as your first follower and enjoys actually being around you, except for a couple of lines she says, but it's always fun to hear what she has to say.
I've got your back.
And that also makes her a great companion for a first time, a nice loyal follower who really helps and trusts you and is willing to follow you into battle. So such a good opportunity to have her as well as painting her up. And of course, as I do that, I think about the dragons that you fight, of course, in Skyrim. Skyrim's all about the dragon fighting, so it's always awesome to re-experience the dragon fighting.
Talos, save us! It's a dragon! Just die!
And of course, one other fun thing you get to have with your companions that you have follow you in Skyrim as well is that you can also upgrade them if you want to. So this here that I'm painting up is your standard, the first way you see Lydia when you fight her, when you get her as a companion. But you can customize her however you want. I'd never really experienced that in the game, in gaming before, because I'd always played other types of games where characters are completely static and they have what they have, and you've just sort of got to deal with it. Occasionally maybe you can change out something on there, but having complete like another player to follow you around is so awesome, especially when you're fighting dragons and taking on monsters and things. You can outfit Lydia with what you want and have her the way you want to when fighting all these different types of creatures. So like I said, Lydia is super helpful. She's super versatile in the way you can use her. So it's such an awesome thing that you can do in Skyrim with your companions. And it's so cool that they were able to make a miniatures game based on that as well, with having nice, accurate representations of the characters.
Is that all you got? Does anyone see him? Now you're okay.
So when you're fighting dragons, you've got these awesome abilities and powers, and it's just great that they put that down in miniature form. I haven't played the game yet, but I have a few of the miniatures, so I'm going to be doing a painting series added to along with all the other miniatures I'm painting with this as well. So it's going to be fun going through, seeing what characters they come out with, and if they'll bring out any dragons. That would be pretty fun. I'd like to paint up a dragon from Skyrim. That'd be awesome. Maybe some of their monsters would be pretty unique. It would be awesome to add to my Dungeons and Dragons table as well, and that would even come more full circle again, especially when I think of the first time I slayed a dragon in Skyrim. So again, it's just awesome having these memories as I'm painting up Lydia here, and I love to have... Lydia was also the first companion I had for a long time, following me around, and of course all the dialogue she would say, which would be fun.
How can I serve you, my Thane?
And with her loyalty in there, she was such a fan favorite for a lot of people back in the day when they're playing Skyrim as her first companion, and people loved her so much that they wanted to marry her, because eventually you could marry her in Skyrim, but they didn't do that until a patch, but till later on, just because people loved her so much and the way she was loyal and nice and kind to you.
Still here. I am at your command.
But of course I can't talk about Lydia without also mentioning the thing she's most well known for in her sarcastic way when she gets a little bit sick of you sometimes when you're offering to keep giving her items and she just gets a little bit annoyed. Always fun to hear her say,
I am sworn to carry your burdens.
So like I said, painting up Lydia here is bringing back a lot of her memories and emotions and just the fun coincidence and how it's come back to me making this YouTube channel here where I paint up miniatures, and it's so good to have a representation, and with the 10th anniversary of Skyrim bringing up so much memories of what it was like with Lydia. So as I finally paint up the base room around Lydia, as I have her complete, we'll go to the very first time that we meet Lydia and she becomes our companion, and then we'll follow up with some shots of the finished miniature itself.
The Jarl has appointed me to be your housecarl. It's an honor to serve you. The Jarl has recognized you as a person of great importance in the Hold, a hero. The title of Thane is an honor, a gift for your service. Guards will know to look the other way if you tell them who you are. As my Thane, I'm sworn to your service. I'll guard you and all you own with my life. Lead the way.
So thank you, Lydia, for being my very first companion, and I hope I've done you just a little bit of justice in painting up your miniature as the first Skyrim miniature I painted up from the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms series that I'll be doing eventually, just coming out with other videos. So it's also fun just to reminisce, and I can't believe Skyrim's been out for 10 years, so this is my sort of celebration, saying thank you to Skyrim for bringing me to where I am now with this whole YouTube channel basically, and leading up to my miniature painting. So awesome to hear. I'd love to hear your stories about Skyrim as well, if you want to leave them down in the comments, and if you'd also like to paint up some miniatures by the game Skyrim, of course, you could check out my channel later on, and eventually I'll be releasing some, but I also have many other videos of painting up cool miniatures, so hopefully Skyrim may have even given you the same inspiration like it did with me. Always fun to hear what you have in representation, how you got to miniature painting. Always fun to hear how people have done it. But this, of course, was how I got into miniature painting, so it was fun to bring it all back together, starting from a video game all the way back to a miniature to where I'm painting up my miniatures now. So I'd like to thank, I guess, Bethesda and creating Skyrim and inspiring me to get me to where I am now with painting up miniatures. And I hope this video has been interesting for you to find out how I got into miniature painting and other games I enjoy as well, like Skyrim here. And it's just fun to reminisce while doing a bit of painting as well. So thank you everybody for being here with me, and hopefully this video has been interesting for you. It's a little bit different than what I usually do, because I usually do paint step-by-step sort of tutorial style. So let me know if this is something that you enjoy as well. Maybe I'll do some more things like this down in the future. But with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.